Sometimes it's a little cheaper if you just buy a Disney Incredi-Pass if you're going to attend Walt Disney World. That is the annual pass for out-of-staters. We're going to talk about that today and just go over real briefly some of the economics involved in why that is and how I've come to that conclusion. I know it's a little different, a different thing from what I normally talk about, but it's something I've been thinking about because I am a Disney pass holder and I am an Incredi-Pass, a Disney Incredi-Pass holder, and I constantly run over those numbers just trying to figure out, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? I gave up my pass for a couple years because I felt like it wasn't worth it. This year, I got it again because the economics of going on Disney trips make the Incredi-Pass worth it for someone out of state or who does not live in Georgia or Florida. It used to be that if you lived in Georgia, you could get a similar pass to people that lived in Florida. Thank you so much for watching me today, for joining me, whether you're on your couch, watching on your TV, on the computer, on your phone, on your tablet, on your game system. Thank you so much for joining me today, for watching me today. I truly appreciate it. So let's work this out. Here's just a little bit of the raw numbers, and this is just averages. This isn't anything absolutely specific, so I'm going to give you some ranges. Let's say you visit Walt Disney World from out of state. Let's just say from Pennsylvania, where I'm at. And let's say you visit, I don't know, 10 to 12 days. And you buy park hopper because you don't want to be constricted, as far as moving around from park to park and so on and so forth. You don't want to be stuck in one park all day long, etc., etc. That really adds quite a bit of a price to a Walt Disney World ticket. And by the way, that 10 to 12 days, obviously most people don't do a vacation in Central Florida, or at least at Walt Disney World, for 10 to 12 days. So let's just say 10 to 12 days means you're taking more than one trip, right? Let's say you're going for 3 to 5 days for the marathon. Then you're going back for a long weekend. Maybe you get a deal on a flight for the for a festival. And then let's say you're going for another 4 or 5 days, taking the kids or grandkids, or just going on your own or with a spouse or friend for your end of summer brouhaha. There's so many other scenarios we could use, but let's just use those as an example. And you're going for a total of 13 days. And you get park hoppers for all of them because you don't want to be constricted, right? All right. Well, Here's the deal. If you take an average of the costs throughout the year, total average, any park, let's just, you add up the most expensive, you add up the cheapest ticket for time of year at all the parks, and you divide them. Then you come up with a midpoint between those prices from the time of year to, when it's most expensive to when it's cheapest. Now I know there's a lot of other nuance to those prices. Pricing can be finicky with Disney. You never know what you're going to get there. But let's just say you do that strategy, like I said, as far as figuring out cost. Your price on average is going to be, in that model, more expensive or about the cost of the Incredi-Pass. Okay, yeah, so I just looked up the price of the Incredi-Pass. It's about $17.35. If you buy a 10-day ticket, Disney obviously drops the price to roughly $70 to $80 a day. If you buy, say, 10 individual one-day tickets, you'll pay about $160 on average. These are all averages, by the way. Average every time. So, like, the Incredi-Pass would be way more valuable for somebody that's taking long weekends here and there, or maybe you're doing the multiple trips, like I said. If you're going to do a trip that's 10 or 11 days or more all at once, Incredi-Pass is not a good deal for you. That's not something I would do. But the break-even point for short trips, base tickets, would be 10 to 11 days. Now get this math. Versus park hoppers, that is 7 to 8 days. Now keep in mind that's for short trips, 1 to 2 days, 3 days. For long trips, 5+ days versus base tickets. Just base tickets, no park hoppers. Your break even is 14 to 16 days. That means you would need to visit the parks 14 to 16 days to make it worth your while if you normally were just doing long trips, 5+ days. Versus park hoppers, 10 to 12 days. So how I like to do this math and how I like to figure this out is taking the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario being park hopper, and then measuring that in a 5+ day. So for me, here's what that means. I take one big trip, usually in the summer. And that trip is with my kids. I will never get them Incredi-Pass because I take one trip per year is usually with them. I take one of my oldest daughters, my third oldest daughter. She's now 19. She will be 20 in the fall. I take her down for around Halloween time for the Halloween Horror Nights. And if I have a pass, I usually swing over to Disney for a day or two. So there's 5 or 6 days, plus 2 days in the fall. And then my wife and I, Mrs. Rat, and myself take several day weekend trips, long weekend trips, whenever we get a good price on flights. So for us, what that means is 3 additional trips that are, say, 2 days. So there's 6. And then usually her and I'll do a 4 or 5 day getaway ourselves. So all told, we're getting up there. I'd say all told, between my wife and I, because she takes some solo trips on her own with, you know, one of the older kids. I'd say that takes both of us up to about 15 days. And my wife takes about 15 days worth of trips to Walt Disney World. So the math goes, even if it was 11 to 12 days with park hopping or some mix of that, then obviously Incredi-Pass works out better for us. So when you see that big price tag for Incredi-Pass and you say to yourself, man, why would I pay that? Those are the scenarios. It's not as simple as just looking at one scenario, one number. It's really complicated. It's very layered. It's like a layer cake of options, expenses, and prices. So it really depends on how you do that trip, how many trips you take, when you take them, what options are you adding. Also, here's another hidden thing. As a pass holder, you get certain discounts. You get discounts on merchandise. That's probably the biggest difference. Sit down meals. That's another big difference depending on how you do that. And visits, hotel prices. Now, let me just say, the hotel price discounts, you can typically get them the same discount by being a Disney Plus subscriber or engaging in some other affinity group involved with Disney. But you still got to pay that Disney Plus subscriber price, right? That counts for something. And if you're, what is it, a D23 or 33, whatever that is, member, you still got to pay for that, because I don't think you get discounts for being a free member of that. I'm not even sure if you get discounts with that. And if you're a DVC member, well, that blows it all out of the water, because you're paying a lot of money for DVC, no matter how you stack it. And if you bought a resale contract, you ain't getting nothing other than the property. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, to discuss what goes into making a decision to be an Incredi-Pass holder for Walt Disney World. We are after Valentine's Day, and on Valentine's Day, everyone wants to make people smile and get things for them and do nice things for them. But often nobody thinks about doing that the rest of the year, except on maybe a birthday or something. So here's our challenge for this week. Similar to last week. Let's treat people with kindness. Make them smile. Make them feel wanted this week. Make them feel worth the effort. Let's convince everyone the truth and that we want them to stay. We love them and we want them to remain in our lives. Make it worth it. Make the week worth it. And let's bring some light to people. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Dreams, grass, churros. Talk to you then.